Okay, in today's episode, we are going to be talking about investing in silver, where silver price might be headed, and we actually are going to be talking to someone who's been around the commodities industries with a lot of success, an executive, and his name is Michael Konnert. Now, exciting news, we do have a new channel sponsor for this channel, and it is a silver stock I am invested in, and that's Vizsla Resources, and we're talking to the CEO right now, Michael. So first of all, for everyone listening, please be sure to hit the like button on this side right over there, this side right over there on this side, and we'll get right into it. So it's nice to see you, Michael.
Yeah, you too, Jake. And I got to say, we're a huge fan. I'm a huge fan of your videos, your interviews, and so it's great to see like a new face in the space. And I just want to say we appreciate the videos.
I'm excited about you guys being the sponsor, and so why don't we start there? First of all, we'll get into, you've had a lot of success, and for those that don't know, in mining, you sold your first company, copper company, when you were 29 or 28 for $15 million. You've done very well, and we'll get into the business now, why you entered silver, where you think the price is going. But first, for those that are unaware, obviously there's a lot of silver stocks, there's a lot of gold stocks in the world, and you guys you decided that you wanted to be the channel sponsor of our channel that's growing a lot. Why don't you tell everyone, for those that don't know, why Vizsla? Why is it a valuable play on silver, and where do you think it can go?
Well, we're a unique company because we're building basically a producing mining district in Mexico. We're really well funded. We're drilling. We're making super high grade discoveries down in Mexico, but we're different than a lot of other silver companies in that we can really quickly move from explorco to developer into production, like very quickly. We have an option on a mill. We have an option on, power, permits, everything that we need to be a producer. So when you're investing in these exploration companies, it's all great to make a discovery and this, but it can take years and years and years to be actually extracting the silver from the ground and making money. We have everybody beat on that. And that's why I love Vizsla, and that's why I'm so excited about our company.
So, and that's an interesting point, and it's one of the reasons why I wanted to, when I picked a sponsor, obviously you and I just hit it off when we were talking. But the other thing is, if I'm going to have a channel sponsor where I, just quickly announce like podcast style, hey, this company is a sponsor. Obviously, there's people that don't know about it that are investors that get a position. And the reason I picked you guys is because, you guys have a lot of upside potential from the exploration and development phases, but you have the grounding abilities of a producer. So when you say that you guys have an option on a mill and you could be in production soon, how soon are you talking? What is the type of plans that you guys discuss behind the scenes with that?
Yeah, so I guess we when we started there at the project, we were the first group to actually have the consolidated district since like 1550 or something like that. So it's a long-term producing district, but no like major or modern company has actually gone there and explored. So there wasn't even a geology map, which is like the base thing that you would do if you were working in a place, but it has this long history of mining. It has like, private Mexican companies mining there. And so I went there and spent about a year in Sinaloa, Mexico, talking with these these families, and basically we cut a deal that we would go and explore their property, and then if we were successful, we could buy their mill, and that comes with permits and tailings and everything you would need to be in production. So we're kind of doing our part here, which is exploring, and we're really successful at exploring. We're making new discoveries all the time, and we're finding lots of high grade, which is high margin material. So at a certain point, we'll be comfortable enough to say, okay, well, here's the money to buy the mill. And then we just, we spend, what could be 6 months, let's say, optimizing the mill, doing the work to, to kind of make it ready for production. So, it's up to us. We've gotten to a point, you ask, what's our conversation, behind the scenes. And I would say that we're at a point where we're pretty comfortable with what we see there. we're pretty close to, I would say pulling the trigger on the option and start talking about becoming a producer. It's not the next 6 months, but it could be in the relative near term.
Interesting. And so let me ask you then, for someone that's an investor listening to this and they say, there's a million silver and gold companies, give me why, I want to give you the floor as a channel sponsor before we get a little bit more into your philosophies and vision for silver. Give me your pitch on some of the top principles that you think gives you guys a unique value offer to investors.
I always like that question because, a lot of companies might kind of shy away from that. But I always say there's three big reasons, three takeaways when I talk about Vizsla. The first is the grade. And like I said, we're finding some of the highest grade discoveries in Mexico's recent history, some spectacular grades, like just super, super rich stuff. And the second reason that I like Vizsla, the major takeaway is the size. It's almost, our district is like almost the size of Manhattan. It's huge.
Oh, wow.
It fits over like Hong Kong. It's a huge vein field. So if we're successful with that high grade, we could have a huge mine life it compares really favorably to like Fresnillo and some of the more established big silver fields in Mexico. And then the third reason that third main takeaway about Vizsla is just that pathway to production. So, having all three is like an all-star thing to have. Those are the major points.
So you're saying the area you guys have is humongous. And when you and I were talking on one of our earlier phone calls, you had said to me, I'm shooting one day for this to be you said 12 million ounce producer. You said between you and I, this is what I believe is possible. How much do you estimate ounces are you sitting on? And is that your goal to you guys are so close with these options that your goal is to become a big time producer here soon?
Yeah. So, some of those estimates, and of course, you technically have to go through studies and have the proper caveats and 43-101 compliance and things like that. But when I look at other comparable silver fields in Mexico with long histories like Panuco and like we have a Vizsla, one of the most comparable ones is actually San Dimas, and San Dimas is up 80 kilometers to the north. It's owned by First Majestic. It's a fantastic mine. It's very similar in a lot of ways to Vizsla. It's got the same history, it's got the same geological history, it's in the same region. That produces over 12 million ounces of silver equivalent per annum now, and it's it's been producing, I think it's done over like 11 million ounces of gold and 580 million ounces of silver historically. So it's just like, it's a huge long mine, and it's comparable in a lot of ways to Vizsla. So I look at that as, as an aspiration, as a goal. What can we get to? And I think it's quite possible that we're sitting on something like that. Of course, we have to do all the work. We have to drill. We have to discover. But we're quite successful at that so far. So
interesting. So one of the things that for the viewer that just personally, I wanted you to sponsor the channel because, like, I do feel like you and I would probably be friends if we lived in the same area. You'd probably kind of be like a mentor to me, but you're a young executive. But the really wild thing is you're not someone that just bought land and you are going to claim, that you can make these great discoveries, ride this fad, and then sell out. You sold your first company, a copper company, for $15 million when you were in your 20s, which is crazy. And, it also proves kind of the dynamic that you actually are committed to these things, and you've actually been in the trenches already. You've actually seen the process through from buying land to, turning something into a valuable commodity company. What have you learned from your journey selling your copper company to applying into Vizsla today, where you bought this land, negotiated with this family, and now you have ambitions of turning this into a production thing, which very few of these companies ever end up doing?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that I learned is that it's all about people. And so I'm super proud of the team that we have at Vizsla, because I'm the CEO, and my the other executive is Charles, who's my VPX, and he and I are close in age, and we're kind of the engine, the one that goes out and does everything and hustles hard every day, but we're surrounded by a team of guys that have done this before. And my mentor, Craig Perry, he's my partner in Vizsla and in Inventa and all the companies that we do. He's the reason that I was able to be successful with that company that we sold in my late 20s. He gave me the backing basically to go do that. So, we have a board that's super accomplished, done it all before, and you can go to and ask for advice. And that's a big reason for any success, I would say, is being surrounded by the right people. So that, without that, I think, you can have the best project, or you can have a ton of money, but without the right people involved, it's really hard to be successful.
So what was your copper company, and where was the copper company, not in geographic location, but in terms of where the company was at when you sold it? Were you guys producing? Did you develop and then sell it off to somebody that was going to produce? What was the company and kind of the process of that?
Yeah, so it was actually Craig. It all goes back to Craig and I meeting and having a beer. And we were talking about, at the time, copper and cobalt were kind of taking off, and we were talking about, the battery metals, electric vehicles, that type of thing. And so we went out and we staked some ground that was really interesting for copper, cobalt, gold, but mostly it was copper, cobalt. And we went and staked that up, and then I went and negotiated with a few other landowners in the area, and we basically assembled this whole district of prospective ground. Some of it's past producing. Some of it actually even had a stockpile of cobalt in it that was already mined from the 1920s or something like that. It was pretty cool, actually, looking back at that history. So we put it all together, did a lot of the hard work, kind of de-risked it to a certain point. And then a company approached us that was really looking for that type of ground. And we were in the middle of taking that public and listing it, and went down one path, and you saw this group had kind of heard about what we were doing, an Australian group. So they flew us out to Australia. We met with them for a while. They showed us why they'd be, the best path forward to kind of seeing a lot of value for the project or in the project. And so we ended up kind of selling to them. I joined the board after, and so I was, somewhat involved in the company. It was really exciting to see that move forward. That company has actually pivoted now from copper cobalt into nickel, and they're building a nickel mine in Vietnam. So they're a serious battery metals company now. So that was a lot of fun to put something together, take the risk on it. It was a lot easier because I was risking mostly Craig's money, so it wasn't. He'll probably laugh when he sees that, but so it was great. It was fun, and we were able to do that. And I had a personal goal of hitting a certain level, by the time I turned 30, and that kind of all lined up prior to that point. So it was a great accomplishment. It's a lot of fun.
So got a question about silver and copper and macro investment, but I want to say quickly. So I forgot about that part of your story, is you had a goal, like a financial goal with yourself by a certain age. And, I'm really into goals, and I'm really into goal setting, and, my work, originates in the personal development industry. So are you a big then goal setter and goal believer?
I'm a big goal setter, goal believer, list maker. My dad actually kind of, he when I was really young, I remember reading like Peter Schiff books. For some reason, it's kind of not really child or young teen kind of reading material, but Think and Grow Rich, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Peter Schiff books, that type of thing. So I remember the first stock I bought was Agnico Eagle, with my dad and stuff like that. So there's a lot of these kind of earlier things that happened to me that, just kind of drawn to that. So the goal making, setting kind of aspirational goals out and then chasing after them is a big part of what I'm about.
Okay, so then if you read Think and Grow Rich, right? Then you're obviously really into this, and so into clear goals. You find a lot of people don't have them. Even people that are in the mining industry that you would think as the CEO, there's a very small portion of the global population that actually does have, as Napoleon Hill calls them, chief definite aims. I'm not sure if you feel comfortable sharing your long term, and you like to keep those to yourself, but what's like your big chief definite aim or your big vision or goal for Vizsla? Is it the 12 million ounce production? What would you say those are?
I call it my big fat goal. So we actually just had our kind of year-end Vizsla team building goal setting thing with the whole team. And, I've been working on this. Our team's been working on it. We talk about it as a board all the time. It's just something that's central to us. And so the big fat goal, or kind of the big aspirational goal, is this becoming a New York stock exchange listed significant producer of silver and gold, and doing that minimum of 12 million ounces of silver equivalent per annum. That's the goal, because it that sets you aside. Then you're kind of in Mexico. You're a top tier project, and typically projects in that realm would command market caps in excess of $1 billion. Certainly listed on the New York Stock Exchange is creates a lot of liquidity and value as well too. And so that's our goal.
That's amazing. Yeah, I love that. I even like you as a CEO and company as an investor more. Like, it's an intuitive thing but I just love it when people have those, because a lot of people don't. Do you guys have a date for your collective goals to attend to accomplish this, or do you guys leave that open?
Personally, but I shouldn't say it because who knows who's going to hold us to it. But it's aggressive. I'll say that.
All right, I believe you. Okay, so that's good stuff, man. That's good stuff. I love all that. And it's nice to know. It's nice to know when you invest, when you put your money into somebody. It's nice to know that there are these clearly defined goals. Everyone in the company knows this is where we're going. That vision is something most companies in any industry, not just mining, don't have. And I truly believe that it's probably one, if not the biggest differentiating factor between success and losers, personally. I love that. So let me ask you, I was going to ask you about copper versus silver. Let's get into some macro now. So copper, obviously, big talk of where copper could go, big talk of where cobalt could go. And we'll talk even about nickel, since you said your old company's opening up a nickel mine. Big talk about these EV batteries. You're in precious metals. You're in silver. You guys will have gold too. What is it about silver and what is it about gold that you find compelling enough that you're in that and you aren't in copper right now, or you aren't in EV batteries right now? Why do you believe in silver and gold?
Well, I like silver particularly, even over gold, I would say. I personally invest in many mining companies, in the sense, because I understand it, it's my passion. But, I'm the CEO of Vizsla, and I'm focused, so intensely on Vizsla because I believe in the opportunity that silver has here. And there's a few reasons for this. There's kind of the baseline is that there's two ways to win with silver. You have the economic expansion, or the demand for metals, stimulus, fiscal stimulus, kind of building windmills or whatever, solar panels, things like that. That's going to drive demand of silver. And then you have the monetary, or the kind of the monetary value, or the investment, aspect of silver as well. And typically when we get into these type of situations where you have a crash, or you have the reason that you need to start printing crazy amounts of money, you print the money, so you dilute the value of the fiat and you increase the value of the hard dollars, which is silver. And then at the same time, you're spending that money that you're printing, or the fiscal stimulus is going into infrastructure projects that increase the demand for the industrial aspect of that metal, which is of silver. So even more so than gold, I think, silver has so much more to run. And you look back to, I think it's the last 4 or 5 cycles where silver's kind of broken out and hit new highs. It's always kind of lagged a bit behind gold, and then it takes off and it kind of completely outperforms gold to the upside afterwards. And I think we just saw that, towards the end of the year there, and we're starting to see this breakout of silver to gold, and I think we'll start to see it overtake it. And I think it could go, I think it could go crazy. It could break gold highs, go possibly up to $100 or plus.
$100 plus. You guys got to change your name to Vizsla Silver instead of Vizsla Resources pretty soon here, huh?
Yeah, well, maybe that's for the next interview, but that's it's in the works.
Cool. Cool. I in my head, I'm an investor in your company, and hopefully, you and I hit it off. Hopefully, you're just the long-term sponsor, and we keep growing and growing together. So I was, thinking about that. I'm like, they got to change the name of Vizsla Silver here. So it's good to know. All right. So let me ask you, as a mining executive, and also, a veteran, and having a lot of veterans on your team, what do you guys think about when you look at the supply and demand fundamentals of silver? I had Keith Neumeyer on, and Keith told me he sat with the CEO of Samsung, who was terrified of being front run or the potential supply and demand issues. We had another, I think better than me, but I think it was a 6% year over year decrease in 2020. There were 760 million ounces mined in 2020, and it's the lowest number since I think 2011. And I'm looking at this all, and then they say like the US Mint already sold out of all their silver. They announced like yesterday. And I'm like, how is the price only at $26 if there's this much of it? There's such a shortage. And then, you've got the Democrats with the sweep here in the House and Senate. And, they want this Green New Deal. 10% of America right now of energy is solar, and they want it to be at 50 in 3 years. And there's 0.6 of an ounce of silver in each. I just did a video on this, but there's 0.6 of an ounce of silver in each solar panel, and the demand that they need for the increase of solar is at least 300 million ounces of silver needed in the short term in America alone. It's like, well, it seems so compelling, but we aren't seeing these movements in the price action. What do you think about all that?
Well, and I kind of, to be honest, I thought that the COVID shutdowns would exacerbate this more, and it did happen, but it didn't go as crazy as perhaps one could think. But everybody's always hoping for a massively higher silver price. But we did see it though. After the shutdowns, you looked in June, July, August. The silver price took off throughout the summer. I think it's almost a bit of a delayed reaction to these things, and it could take a little bit longer. But I think if you kind of step back and look at it as a whole, look at the supply and demand of silver as a whole, you look at, okay, well, where's the new production coming online? There's not a lot of places. You do get a bit of silver as a byproduct as well, but those mines, those big mines, particularly in South America, where you get the byproduct, they're having trouble. They're slowing down. They're even harder hit by COVID. So I see this the supply dropping off, and then you're right. And I read something yesterday about just the ad that electric vehicles are going to have on the demand, as well as I think almost close to 10% of the overall annual demand ex electric vehicles. So you're talking about solar panels, 5G, electric vehicles, all of these things. It's building and building, and then eventually, the paper contracts aren't going to be able to keep up to that, and eventually there's going to be this kind of burst of silver to the upside. But it's a matter of time. And I'm young, I'm aggressive, and I'm impatient when it comes to the pricing. I want it yesterday, but the price that we're sitting right now around $25 silver. When we were first trying to finance Vizsla, I guess it was the fall of 2019 when we just got the project. We're running around Toronto and New York, Charles and I, and it was like $14.50 silver, $15 silver. It was tough. So now we had another $10 to it. It's just going to take a bit of time, but it's going in the right direction.
So you think the trend is upwards?
Absolutely.
So when you're sitting there and, you seem like a very objective guy, you've been in the industry a while, so you're a numbers guy, and your team is a veteran number of people. But when you look at this all, where do you think the price can go?
It's hard, certainly the $50 is a definitely, it's not a, difficult target to think of. And I see it definitely going back to that high, but I could see it going triple digit. I really could. Again, you look at the, I think it was an eightfold price increase that you've seen in the past over other silver bulls. And, this is just so much different in magnitude. The magnitude of this money printing, the magnitude of this fiscal stimulus is like many, many times that of anything we've ever seen. This is, at the risk of using the word unprecedented, because everybody says unprecedented all the time these days, but it really is unprecedented, the amount of money printing, the amount of fiscal stimulus. And that's what drives, at the end of the day, that and yields, is what drives the price. And throw in inequalities between supply and demand, and it's a perfect recipe.
So you said previous silver bull markets average about 8x. So if you say our silver bull market started this year and it's at 25, even if you were really, really generous and you said it started at $12 in March, and from 12 to 24, so that's a 1x. So you are, if previous ratios held out, you would be somewhere around the $200 range. Based off that math.
It's exciting to think about. I'm not guaranteeing it, but it's all it takes, is something to click, and I could see $50 easy on the pathway to 100. But we're building a company that doesn't need those prices to survive. We're looking at surviving in basically all the kind of historic silver, recent historic silver price environments, but I don't think it's that hard to visualize a breakout in silver price where it goes, absolutely crazy.
A moment ago, you spoke about the paper contracts, and, the biggest concern of all of them to me, people talk about price manipulation and see this graph and it did this and that. And sure, I'm with it, but my views changed after I interviewed a very smart individual named Luke Grauman. And Luke said, what really is the real manipulation of it is the amount of paper contracts that stake each ounce. So it allows, basically this massive price bubble where, the amount of people that think they own the ounces, but most of them don't own any. But do you think that we can have this type of movement with this type of a more sophisticated derivatives market that manipulates the price? Does it have to go away for us to even get a move back to 50? Or what do you think about all that?
I don't think it has to go away to get a move back to 50. If it did go away, I don't know what the price would be, but it'd be spectacular. But we saw it last time, and it was just on the back of kind of a expectations, I suppose, of inflation and an increase in money supply. And so it hit 50, and then it went from sub 10 to that, right? So it's totally possible that we see that in this current situation that we're in.
Yeah, I'd like to ask you that. You brought it up. Sometimes if I interview a CEO, a lot of them are they want to be so proper that they don't want me to ask them about any price manipulation. But you kind of just brought it up a little, and it is the real sentiment of investors, and so it's nice to, hear directly from, a company that, someone listening to this might invest in that, we do recognize this, but we don't think that it's going to inhibit a powerful move at all.
Well, I mean, we already saw a double, like I said, from just almost a year ago or a year and a half ago, let's say, it's doubled, and I could see it doubling from here.
So good stuff. So then, do you believe that we need, as a mining executive, in the amount of increased demand that's going to be needed, do you believe that this is going to be another very volatile up and down and back to $15 again? Or do you believe that there needs to be a stronger equilibrium in the price, or homeostasis in the price long term, for the amount of industrial demand that's required?
Yeah, I know. Silver CEOs, Keith particularly, talks about this, and I his experience and his knowledge on that, I think is industry leading. So, when he talks about that, I tend to agree. I don't know exactly how that can entirely be achieved, but I know that he works on ways to do that, which is quite interesting. But that's something that I think will become, as we grow and as we become move into that producer role as a company, will become something that we'll have to look at a little bit more and closely. But I do follow that conversation, when I can. Of
course, we're nowhere near needing to worry about that and exiting, but always, if I got someone in the industry, it's nice to talk about and hear about it. But Michael, give us the good stuff. What's going to happen in 2021? What is your guys' internal A, B, and C price predictions that you're looking at for 2021?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I think, I definitely think we break 30 here in the near term. And I think by the end of the year, we're trading in the 40s for silver there. And then, with Vizsla, I can't say necessarily our price predictions for the share prices, but I know it's going to be higher. We're a company with $25 million in the bank. We're drilling with 5 rigs. We're going to add more rigs. We're making discoveries. We're such an exciting story that I think, like the last time that silver broke out and, marched towards 30, we hit our all-time high, which is close to $3 Canadian. So, I'm excited for 2021. I think, there's just so much happening both in Vizsla and the silver price and this market that we're in, that it's just going to be probably one of the most exciting years in a long time.
All right. What'd you say?
Even topping 2020, which was a wild year. Well, I think 2021 is going to be more exciting than 20. Yeah.
All right. Good deal. I'm with it. So, sounds fantastic. So I want to ask you a little bit about you personally, and just some questions I have from my own curiosity. But for everyone, before we get into that, just as I made the announcement, Vizsla is going to be the channel sponsor. You guys right now are OTC for America, and you guys are on the Canadian Stock Exchange as well?
Yeah. So OTC, we are VIZSF, and on the Toronto Venture Exchange, we are VZLA.
Okay, good deal. So when you think about what you did, when you said you had this goal for yourself before you turned 30, and you think about, Read and Think and Grow Rich, and you think about setting these, very clear goals for yourself. What was it like when you sold your company for $15 million before you turned 30? And I'm sure you thought, holy cow, I had this goal written down and it happened. What was the feeling like and the introspection like from that experience?
Yeah, part of it was the most fun part was kind of the challenge was getting there. So, not knowing if the the deal was going to go through, or struggling to get the land all assembled and cutting the deals. Part of it was it was a great feeling of accomplishment, but also looking back, it was the journey was kind of more fun than the destination. So on the back of that, I thought, well, this is what I'm meant to do. This is fun. And so I actually went went and incorporated Vizsla the day after we sold.
Oh, you did?
One to to go after the next thing. So it was it was a great feeling of accomplishment and success, but then it's kind of addicting. I just wanted to keep doing it.
So will you teach your kids about setting goals?
Absolutely. Yeah.
I just find it interesting that's how you are, because most people just they quite frankly aren't. So it's not only nice to see it, but then when you hear about, wow, I wrote this on a piece of paper and then it happened, it makes it even more interesting to kind of hear the story. So I take it you're the type of person that believes that you can create your own reality in business, in life, that you can take this thing from a vision and you guys can turn it into a New York Stock Exchange silver company. Yeah,
I definitely do. And it's because I've seen it done with, my partners, my mentors, that's what I love about this business so much, is that you're literally taking, a crazy idea, why don't we go, stake some ground and then go drill a hole in it and see if it's worth something. It's just, it's a terrible business model. It's all about taking, big risks and, but being the best at it. If you can kind of limit your risk by, working with the best people or having financial backing. So I just love that idea. You can take a concept, an idea, you can go after the venture capital, you can, take it to a point and have enough people interested in your idea that you can finance it through the risky stages, and then eventually de-risk it and turn it into something that creates, the most important commodities and products for living our modern life, right? Like, it's actually really important to how we live our life as well. Copper, silver, gold, it's an exciting industry in that sense.
Absolutely. So, all right, you're someone that's been able to accomplish a lot. You're looking at what's happening in the world, and right now there's obviously a lot of people struggling. The UN said that they estimate at least 250 million people will be pushed into poverty from the lockdowns. I don't know the data in Canada, but it's overwhelming in America. The unemployment, I think 50% of small businesses are permanently closed. There's a lot of people kind of hanging on by a cliff right now. And then there's other people that have managed, but it's been a stressful year. Maybe a lot of people have seen their income go down. People listening to this channel are probably doing pretty well from their investments. But what type of advice do you think is important for us to be considering right now in 2021, or what are the most important things you're personally doing financially in business to prepare yourself for 2021 that you think are worthwhile for someone else listening?
A lot of it is actually just breathing as a foundation. It's kind of something that I think is kind of a good way to start. If it feels overwhelming or you got all these things to deal with, is just taking a second and breathing a little bit and kind of realizing that, a lot of people, are going through pretty tough things, right? But mostly we'll get through it. But then in business, from that point of kind of calming down, taking a second to understand what's going on. This last year was pretty difficult. We were pre-discovery. We were, I was raising $4 million here, $5 million here, to kind of fund everything. And we had a really expensive program going. And then COVID hit and the stock cratered and everything. And, we basically had to shut everything down. And I thought, oh man, this is kind of tricky. So but then, our team, we all just kind of step back, did a little bit of kind of thinking about things, breathing a little bit. And then, we went after calmly, what we thought was going to create the best success. So, my advice is always just to kind of not get overwhelmed by the moment, but just, take a second and kind of understand what you're up against. And then after that, it's just, just going after the problems, solving them, setting a plan, setting some goals, making a list.
All right. I dig it. Okay. So, when do you think, and kind of as we wrap up here, when do you think that we see FOMO heading into silver? We've heard the stories about the volatile nature of silver, and when you catch it on the upside, it can be incredible. When do you think that we start to see institutions move in and we start to see whether it's pensions or whether it's just the traders move in? When do you think we get that push for silver to finally have its day in the sun and have this type of, historic move that you get in a 12-month period where, you really have the potential to actually, get quite rich as an investor in really only about a year or so on the move. Do you think we're close to that now? Do you think we're still years away now to get that FOMO headed in?
What's interesting is that it seems to be able to happen like in a blink of an eye. This last summer was so wild, how it kind of turned. And our timing was so lucky because we'd made that really high grade discovery at that time. But I remember, it went from being fairly difficult to raise money to, New York funds and hedge funds and, all these groups were kind of clamoring and looking for deals. Now it kind of settled down and gold and silver have kind of leveled off a little bit. But I think, any kind of inkling that silver's going to go head towards those old highs, break through 30, and I think it's kind of game on. So it's just, I think the key is just always to be ready, because it's, a lot of people, this is kind of a shameless plug, is, you got to buy the stock now because it's too late once things turn, right? It's, you can miss it.
Absolutely. And, that was the other reason it's nice to, when I have you guys as a channel sponsor too, we haven't totally recovered sentiment wise from this correction. And so you guys are, actually at a fantastic price right now. You're priming up for the next leg up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So let's end here. What are you most excited about or grateful for in your life right now?
I'd say it's my family, my growing family here. I've got a young boy, one on the way, good wife. So that keeps me happy.
I forget, what is the sex of the one on the way?
We don't know yet.
Oh, you don't know? Okay. How far along?
My son's name is Jake, though, which is kind of funny.
Oh yeah, dude, I forgot that. That's hilarious. How far along is your one on the way?
She's getting there. I would say she's in the second trimester now.
She's in second trimester. Are you guys waiting until she's born to find out the gender?
No, she's got some testing coming up here soon.
Okay, yeah. Got it.
My wife can't wait that. She doesn't do well with suspense.
And how old's your son?
He's let's see, he's about 14 months now.
He's 14 months. All right, good deal. Well, as you know, we got our 5-month-old here, so I can attest to that. I have to say, sometimes I don't even want to ever do anything ever again, because it's just like I get that hour and the world's just going insane right now, and you get that few minutes with her. So my goal is, my vision is, for me as an investor and also as a media person, now in this industry, is that, this silver run allows me to, I'm sure I'll never retire totally. It'll always be something that I'll be interested in, but gives me the opportunity to hopefully retire here, for the most part, and be as present as a dad as anyone, hopefully, that's around.
Yeah, I second that. Despite, all of the challenges of this COVID and, lockdown, the big thing for our industry is that we haven't been able to travel as much. So this past year has been actually a bit of not a bit, it's been a huge blessing in disguise. I've been able to stay at home and be a part of the family. It's quite nice.
Good deal. Good deal. All right. Well, I'm sold on you, Michael. Good, all around good guy, and obviously veteran in the industry. And I love your ambition, love your goal setting. And thank you for being the first and only official daily channel sponsor on a regular basis for all of our shows.
Yeah, well, we couldn't be happier. I'm very proud and happy to be a sponsor. So thanks.
All right, amen. So everyone listening, please make sure you hit the like button on this side right over there, this side right over there, this side right over there. So as a part of our sponsorship, Michael will also be coming on once a month, and we're going to be discussing Vizsla. We're going to be discussing silver. So if you've wanted to ask a mining executive certain questions about silver, certain questions about gold, macro things, or you have specific questions about the stock, if you leave your comment right there down below, I'll pool some of them for when we have Michael here on again shortly. So you can leave a question down below. And last but not least, you can find the company on Canada, on OTC, and we will see everyone here again shortly.